light in the background. Sun's coming up. Sun's out, fun's out. Alright, this is going to be a fairly abstract video. Let's see if it makes any sense. It's really the video I wanted to do after the trip, but I haven't come full circle, complete Ouroboros on the idea, but I'm starting to glean some semblance of understanding. It's about timelines. So, I did the video on the experience of the trip. This one's going to probe a little deeper. Think of timelines in a very obvious way. Your trajectory, your personal trajectory in life, that's its own timeline. When you encounter someone else, they got their own thing going on. They kind of have their own timeline. And then there's the larger scale timelines of groups of people, scaled all the way out to the entirety of the planet itself. So when you just live in the same place and do the same things, you're not getting new experiences, but you're also not encountering more of the potential in regards to timelines that's out there. You're just not as familiar with it. You're not as aware of them. And I like to use different metaphors, and I really like juxtaposing video games to real life, specifically the single-player games when you have the maps. Sure, you go do the adventure and then you go look at the map. It's just, fantasy place. You can think of it as like the map in Lord of the Rings even. And you can kind of see the rough outline of where you've been, and then everything you haven't discovered is still really dark. So by literally traveling, you can uncover more of the map. You can see more of the potential timeline. Well, going to another country is an opportunity to experience other people's reality live, very different from just hearing about it or maybe seeing something on TV. You get a full feel sense of what they're experiencing. And to think of this another way, before we get super abstract, think about your YouTube feed, right? You watch 5, 10, 20, maybe 50 channels, who knows, and your feed is curated for you. Okay. What does that represent of the totality of YouTube? Imagine you were zoomed out far enough where you had an individual screen and monitor to show even just every video being uploaded to YouTube at that moment. It's staggering to try to comprehend that. It'd be, I don't know how many videos are uploaded at any time, You'd be looking at 1 million, 500 million, who knows, even for that day. Think of those as individual timelines. Well, the creators of those channels and the individual people, by and large, have the free will over their trajectory, their timeline, to the extent that it is impacted by others. So, we're not going to get deep into predeterminism or determinism and free will. That's not what this is about so much as grasping the concept of timelines that reside in the invisible. You could maybe even think about them as the part of the map that you haven't uncovered, the game you haven't played, the videos that haven't been uploaded. But you see, certain actions are taken to influence our timelines on large scale. It's exactly what global events, those that are manipulated, and virtually every single one that you think is random has been man-made, or is one of the great examples, great in its scope, certainly not in its morality, that has shifted people's actions, actually by pulling them into a dialectic, whether or not they want to be a part of it or not. They might be conscripted or have a bomb dropped on them. But there are these major movements, both physically and energetically, that shift the consciousness of a large group of people, i.e. world war. And in so doing, they're trying to affect the timeline that people, both in a three-dimensional and in a higher dimensional cosmic sense, that the path that they are on, that timeline. And if we look at the events of 2020, we can see the greatest, again in scope, the greatest attempt to have an effect on the entirety of the planet's timeline and trajectory through the lockdown that they instigated, perpetrated, and, fairly effectively carried out. How many people are now permanently impacted by the events of 2020, both on a relative quantity and a percentage basis? More people on this planet than any other known historical event. It's very significant. So I've been listening to my cosmic cadre, and there's another guy I need to add to the bunch. I've already prefaced Sethicus Bozo with Black Earth Productions, Lisa Renee, the Ascension Glossary, and then there's Aisha Dean. I don't know what you call her program, Voyagers, and then someone that came out of that is Dr. Jerry Vera, Dr. Jer. Phenomenal stuff. I'll have to do a whole nother video on that. That's actually what I'm diving into personally now. But these folks, especially Sethicus, will use the word timeline, and I've been trying to meditate on incorporate that concept, because it's not just about the individual's timeline, even though we are, as Ike likes to say, unique individual units of consciousness with our own unique expression on our own path and journey. But we are all here in a collective sense as we share this planet, so we can at least ascribe to a global group. But there are these timelines that are taking place. He refers to them as the original timelines. And we're seeing a bifurcation, and it might actually end up being more than just a split of 1 and 2, where people's actions, their thoughts, their emotions, and subsequent actions are taking them along a certain path. And if you want to be real crude about it, you basically see the accelerated timelines of slavery and freedom playing out. Those that are willing to bend and bow, and those that are not, and trying to carve out and exit from the systems and establish a whole new way of life, because these systems are not just going to transform invariably, they're going to fall apart and disintegrate as those that be, the powers that be, are in a transitional period completely out of power. And this has more to do in the other dimensions. Just leave it at that. So we have these different timelines, potentials of the future past, so to speak, that are playing out in tandem, in parallel. And I think if you've watched any of my videos, you're probably at least open-minded enough to see the potential of the existence of things beyond our three-dimensional realm, whether you want to call them other terrestrials or other entities, however you want to think about it. But you know that there's something out there more than just what we perceive through our 5 senses. So, to tie it back to the very beginning, the beauty of a trip. You get the unique opportunity when you extract yourself from your daily routine and your weekly environment to go get a taste in a new environment on a new continent, same planet, but new surroundings, to feel sense through all the 5 senses and all your extra senses, other people's timelines, and seeing them play out, even if you're just experiencing their 3-dimensional timelines, where they eat, poop, and sleep, because while you're there, you're integrating into that system, right? We took their taxis, ate their food, slept in their guest houses, and we're surrounded by their way of life. It was very much your, and I didn't actually play video games, but whatever's popular now. But back in the day, it would have been something like Zelda, and you're in some foreign land, and you go to the map, and somehow you're able to boop, 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 go down. We'll call it a wormhole, and then boop, boop, pop up in a new map. And it's brand new territory. It's the same game, but things are a little different. So that's what that trip specifically allowed me to do, was get a taste of terrestrial timelines, and then allow me to sit back and consider the wider scope of what's transpiring in regards to the timelines of humanity in general. Okay, that's a lot to digest right now. The potential of events beyond what you can see, hear, taste, touch, smell, and did I say them all? Whatever. It's a really big concept to chew on, of the things that are happening beyond us, and our ability to affect change here on this planet, here in the present now, so that we can be a part of the movement, whatever word you want to use. I'm not even going to assign a term to it right now. We can call it the freedom movement to keep it very grounded, but it has so much more to do than just your physical freedom. So, timelines, something to think about. And I've run out of time.